For this week's homework, if all you have are photo references and you are absolutely in the middle of nowhere or have no time, I recommend when practicing from photo references to flip the image, like the demo I'm going to do here of the cow. As you can see, I started out again with the action lines, also thinking of all those bony landmarks we've talked about. It's that nice big stomach. But this is great practice for drawing from your imagination, and again, not copying straight out of that photograph, not making it this pretty rendered picture. Remember, this is animal drawing and not animal rendering. So I'm just getting the head in there, pulling in the angles as well, especially of that skull. I had it up a little bit too high. Get that udder down there. The eyes. But when I'm doing this, I'm thinking about those bony landmarks and where they are placed. If it helps, mark them in the photo you're going to draw from and then draw it. Another thing is, when drawing, don't be afraid to play around with what if the leg was positioned like this or that. If you're working with Photoshop, it's easier to work with the different positions than it is, say, in ballpoint pen, especially if you want to erase. Now I'm starting to go in and put, of course, those nice bony landmarks like the ankle and the knuckle region, of course the hooves. And don't be afraid, to put those hooves in there even though they're not showing. Just put that down there, get that leg, and think about some shadows right in there. But as you can see, I've got the position of that cow first before I go in. And again, don't draw grass over the hooves. Don't just leave that out. It's just like putting your character's hands in their hoodie pockets or their jeans pockets. I don't want to see that also with animals. It's good to get in the habit of drawing those feet. Get that head in there and the eyes right there. But take your time with this, really think about it when you're drawing it. As you can see, this is a sped up demo, and I really took my time to think about the position. Again, it's the idea of the cow being very blocky, being very rectangular shape is good to keep in mind. And stick with the cow in the horse this week. I don't want to see drafts and stuff just yet, because it'll get too much. This is a good thing is, when drawing, fix the position of whatever you're drawing first and then erase. It'll really help you, and it'll really discipline you so you're not drawing the incorrect line over and over again and ruining your paper eventually. What I'm going to do is just pull the cow off to the side and make sure it's not looking like a hot dog cow. And really, I'm drawing small, so I won't get caught up in that detail. Drawing small really helps me. And if you start drawing too big, especially on location, you're going to exhaust yourself. And if you're first drawing, which it probably will end up looking like horse apples, which is okay, is huge, and you've spent 3 hours on it, that's going to exhaust you and frustrate you. So try to draw smaller, even in Photoshop like here. I'm staying zoomed out of the canvas, as you can see, the picture plane, and I usually carry around smaller sketchbooks like A4 size or 8 by 10 if you live in the United States. So I'm going to do a quick horse and keep this scribbly and a lot faster than the cow. Nice round shapes, a lot of nice action in that pose. It's a very beautiful horse. Again, starting out with that back, going into the pelvis, getting those legs down there. And I'm keeping, majority of the time, I'm keeping my pencil or my stylus on the Cintiq. I'm not really lifting it up a whole lot. That mane in there is a nice action going on in the mane. Thinking again of those bony landmarks, moving down to the leg. Nice zigzag right there in that foot. And of course in that back leg right there. Nice sweeping tail. Keeping this one very loose compared to the cow. And don't draw stick figure animals, please. Really try to stay loose. Think of the CSI. Think of the bony landmarks, and those will help guide you when drawing the gestures. Again, try this out when working with photographs. Just flip the image. Remember the bony landmarks and no stick figure animals. For your homework this week, I want to see 10 equine bony landmark drawovers and 10 bovine bony landmark drawovers. Front, back, side. Just like the demos I did in the first part of the class. Just like this. If you want to do turquoise color, fantastic. If you want to do a different color, hot pink, go for it. I want to see you do different angles. Don't just do a bunch of profile horses and turn them in. Get yourself to do front, back, and side. That includes quartering towards and quartering away. Post your best 5. Also, I want to see 5 sketchbook pages of equine and bovine gestures. Post your best page. And with your homework, like any art class, if you do more, you're going to get more. So if you do a bit more work, you want to post it, go ahead. I'll see if I have time to look at it. If you have problems with the homework, if you have questions, email me, or also feel free to post on the work in progress forum. I like looking at them. I enjoy seeing what you guys are doing, so please post. And it motivates me. It also motivates other students. So that is all for week 1. Have fun with the homework, and I will talk to you next week. Ciao! I'll start out with the wireframe, getting the gestural of that spine, sweeping motion going through the spine, and also into those legs, and thinking about how bony the legs are compared to the body. This particular sketch is actually from my imagination. No references were used, but again, you get to the point where you start gaining that knowledge, you spend a lot of time with these animals, you're going to be able to draw stuff like this out of your head without references. I made the head a little bit too long, the nose. Don't want him to look like Snuffleupagus right there. Now I'm going to go in and get the tail. Nice sweeping motion right there. I really like those tails. They have really nice beauty curve you can capture on the tail. Getting the bony areas of the leg a bit more, chiseling out the hooves. Making sure there's some overlap between the back leg and the front leg there, and that shadow was very helpful for that. I'm gonna bring this guy up in the corner a little bit and look at him from a distance. I usually like doing that so I can get a fresh eye and I can see the entire thing. When I sketch, as you can see in my Photoshop canvas, on the canvas, it's not zoomed in all the way. I can see the entire page. I'm able to see the entire drawing, like this one, the horse quartering towards, and not get caught up in, say, the hoof or the eyeball. It's when you start with just one area, you start with the eye or you start with the head, and you don't think about the entire pose, that's when things get stiff. That's when things start losing that fluidity. And start with the entire pose, think of the entire animal. I'm going to sketch a mule, and it's a cross between a horse and a donkey. I come from Missouri, and our state animal is actually the mule. As you can see, they have much longer ears, but retain that horse-like body. And I think it's pretty when they shave the mane on these guys. But again, the same shapes and the same curves apply, and I'm doing the same approach with the action lines to get the pose first, and then going in and putting in more information. Right here with the legs, I want you to notice this angle. The legs, they do not stand straight up and down. Even if you think about yourself when you stand, you don't stand with your feet perfectly straight. It's the same with animals. It kind of gives them a knocked knee look. And if you look at the arrows in the back leg there, they kind of twist those legs out. But that gives it a much more natural look. And again, I'm just decreasing the size, thinking about where the bones are on the back of that pelvis. Adding a bit more information, darkening up some areas. Now this horse here, this is a nice big workhorse, a draft horse, and I really love these animals. I love the shapes and I love the power of the animal itself. This drawing was from a photograph. I really liked the action and the pose, and I needed to get those shapes because I've been drawing a lot of horses, but they're much skinnier. They're not those big, bulky draft horse shapes. So I wanted to make sure I really captured that in the gestural and the sketch. And they've got a lot of nice fur, hair tuft on the hoof area. Keep in mind, even if you're drawing a horse like a Clydesdale, they still have those bones, they still have those bony landmarks. So don't let the hair fool you. Don't let that get in the way of going, oh hey, I understand that the knuckle goes here or the phalanges go here. In this particular sketch, I'm going to just add a bit more value. And again, you can use Japanese brush pens for your gesturals. There's no real rule to what you have to do in a gestural. If you've never tried a Japanese brush pen, give it a whirl for this homework assignment, or Bic pen, go for it. Use pencil, use Photoshop. These are notes for yourself. These are notes about action. Just make sure that they have clarity. It's not just kind of, stick figures placed on the paper. Just move them over a little bit and add a little bit more information in this draft horse sketch. For cattle, it's good to remember that rectangle-like shape I mentioned before. There's a lot of weight to these animals, and a fun thing about them, as you can see the picture right there, this is a cattle breed known as the Ankole Watusi, and they have these really, really fantastic horns, great for creature design. Even in the horns, you can capture the gestural of them, capture that movement in them. The shoulder, you see that hump, that is fat and muscle, and in the chest, or the brisket region, that is the fat and dewlap. In the horns, I want you to think about 3D, three-dimensional. I'm kind of jumping the gun here into week 2 topic, but drawing through the horns and thinking of it as a cylinder shape can be really helpful in making it much more three-dimensional, because that's what drawing is you are creating a illusion of 3D on a 2D surface. For this guy, I'm going to stick him up in the corner right now, and I'm going to start sketching a new cow. Kind of jump back and forth between the Ankole Watusi and this guy. This is a Brahmin cattle, and I just really like the shapes, and a feature they have is they have really long ears, kind of the lop bunny-like ears, and I really like that about these particular cattle. Again, they have that hump, muscle, fat right up there, and capturing that head. I was having a little bit of problems with the head. The nasal area is really long, it seems, on these guys. What I'm doing is I'm switching up my brush. I got quite tired of using that really soft round brush, and I'm going in with a brush that's acting more like a fine liner. So I just switch up the media. Sometimes I get tired of using the same brush and for demos, and it just helps keep me refreshed. So if a particular material is not working, feel free to just switch it up. It's like, oh man, this ballpoint pen is really just not going anywhere today. Take your brush pen out, go home and do some Photoshop. Or if you've been using Photoshop all day, grab pencil and paper and work in Copic marker. I'm going to go back to the Ancoli Watusi, and I'm going to put in some shadow shapes. I really quite like the sketch, and I just wanted to go in. As you can see, I'm staying small and get the line weight in the stomach, but also catch some of those nice shadow shapes. So I'm kind of treating it like, again, a fine liner or a Japanese brush pen. Right there I added a bit of the ground plane. It's good to sketch in the ground plane to make sure that animal isn't just floating on the paper. I wanted to mix it up for the cattle and not just stick with adults. I'm going to draw a young calf right here. And in the ungulates, the horse, cows, deer, antelope, the youngsters have incredibly long legs compared to their body, and they look squashed as well. With their legs though, the ankle, feet, wrist look very large. It adds a lot of character to these youthful animals. In this pose I found from a photograph, again on Pinterest, and I was playing around with the different tails placement right there. It didn't really work out, but I really quite like the pose, and I'm going to add a little bit of ground plane right there. I'm going to clean up those feet. It came across really scratchy at first, but what I'm going to do is go in with that brush pen and start finding those shadow shapes. So you can see here I am going in and mixing, kind of fixing up that those legs. They weren't really feeling correct, and I'll go in later and fix them up even more. Making sure I get those big wrist joints. I want to make that look nice and youthful. And for that I'm actually exaggerating it a bit. Even though it's supposed to be I say quote unquote realistic sketch, I still exaggerate it in a gestural like this. I'm going to go in and add a little bit more value to the calf. I liked where it was going. Right here, I'm fixing up the leg. If you noticed, what I did is I fixed the position first, then I erased. It's a really good tip when working with different poses. You're trying to put the leg in a different position. This is going to be a sketch of a young bull head, and I would recommend, if you get tired of just doing gesturals of animals and maybe the cows aren't cooperating that day and all you're getting are really good head positions or feet, do some studies of those. Do some studies of heads, do some studies of feet. Get the gestural first, get the action, like in this sketch right here. I got the entire head down before I start going into super amounts of detail. Getting a nice curve of those horns right there. And cows have a very soft, gentle look to their face. I really like that about these animals. They're quite nice to draw. Again, they can be very cooperative models. Getting those nice horizontal nostrils there, and I'm adding a little bit of a specular to that eye, add a little bit of life to it.